Hi. So we're going to move on to 1.8. So if you haven't noticed, we kind of jump around a little bit. We're going through chapter 1. We're going to do that the entire really year, as long as we're in these shortened schedules and just trying to prioritize things instead. So 1.8, we are going to use the quadratic formula. Okay, so basically, we have to use the quadratic formula anytime that we cannot factor something. So I'll give you what the quadratic formula is. When we are using something in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, we can use the quadratic formula. It is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm going to make sure I was right on that. So you use what you've identified as your a, b, and c in order to plug those into quad form and pop out some solutions. So remember, we've been trying to find the zeros or the x-intercepts or solutions. All three of those are the same things, and we've been doing that by factoring. So this is going to be when we are not able to factor something. When we tried our factoring unit, there were certain ones that we'd be like, yeah, this can't get factored. This is as simplified as I can do it. So we're going to learn how to deal with things in those scenarios. So let's use the following example. X squared plus 3x equals 2. And I want to find solutions. So what this is I need to find all the x value solutions. So x equals, what are my solutions? That means that I need to get x all by itself. When I do that, I like to bring everything over to the same side. So I'm going to subtract 2 so that I can get this set equal to 0. So now my challenge to you is, can I factor this? So go through the motions. Think about how are some ways I could factor this. It would have to be factors of 2, so two numbers that multiply to be negative 2 but add to be positive 3. My only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So if I made both of these negative, that would take me to negative 3. If I left both of them positive, that would take me to positive 3 when I added them. But multiplied together, they are positive 2 and I need a negative 2. So keep going through these options. Keep trying every single thing you can think of. You will never get to a point where those can be factored, right? This is not factorable. That's when quad form steps in, okay? So we need to use a quadratic formula for this instead. I'm going to first identify my A equals, it's like having a little 1 out in front. So my A equals 1, my B equals 3, and my C equals negative 2. Again, this is coming from A as my coefficient to x squared, B is my coefficient to x, and C is always my constant. So now what I need to do is plug these in to my quad form. I take a negative B, so negative 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2, sorry, my a is 1. Okay? What I can do here is start just simply trying to simplify. So I'm going to leave this negative 3 out in front, plus or minus 3 squared is 9. Okay, now I have 4 times 1 is 4. This is technically a negative 4. Okay, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8 inside of that. Okay, Now this is all over 2 times 1, which is 2. I got to keep simplifying now. Okay. I'm going to bring this over here. Now I have -3 plus or minus the square root. 9 plus 8 is 17, all over 2. So now I challenge you, can I go anywhere from here? The only other thing I could do would simply be to split up these two fractions, right? We've talked about this. And it would be this is a fraction and this is a fraction. So -3/2 plus or minus root 17 over 2. Am I able to simplify either one of these fractions? Hopefully in your head, behind this computer, you're answering no. So what I would tell you is go ahead and leave this as x equals -3 minus root 17 over 2 and -3 plus root 17 over 2. Keep in mind, we had a plus or minus in this answer. That means I had two answers. One where the root 17 is being added on, and the other where it's being subtracted. Okay? So basically, these are my solutions. Okay? Let's do one more. Okay, so this one, again, find the solution, solve the equation, all different ways you're going to see this. Find the zeros, all of that. Okay, you can't see that. Solve the equation. So this is -x squared plus 4x equals 5. Okay, once again, everything to the same side. So -x squared plus 4x minus 5, because I need to subtract 5 to get it over to the other side. Okay, then I go ahead and I identify, can I or can I not factor this? Factors of 5 are 1 itself. So 1 and 5, right? So is there any way, shape, or form that I'm going to be able to actually factor this together? So, sorry, one other thing. The answer is going to be no. For a second, I was like, wait, this one does work. Why did I have this as an example? The reason it's not working is because I have this negative out in front. Any of you that did the honors topics, you would have seen that we have a very specific way of factoring with a negative out in front. Anything that's not equal to +1 out in front is our leading coefficient. If you have any other number, you're not able to factor the way that we usually did. So we're going to go ahead and use quad form. So I use A, B, and C. My A is a -1 out in front. My B is 4. And my C is -5. So I take all of this and throw it into quad form. So x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Hi, Linda. Sorry, it's my dog. Running all over the place. He just wants someone to play with. So now let's start simplifying. X equals -4 plus or minus. 4 squared is 16. -4 times -1, +4. +4 times -5 is -20. All over 2 times -1, which is -2. Okay, keep simplifying. -4 plus or minus 16 minus 20 is -4, all over -2. Okay, so we're almost at our final answer, except what's one really awful thing that's happening? We have a negative in our square root. Think back to last time. Our very last lesson that we just did was about having negatives in a square root. I can't have a negative in any even root. So what happens is this is going to come out. I'm going to make that positive, and I'm going to add on an I. So this is -4 plus or minus I square root of 4 over -2. So now I want to ask you, do I know what the square root of 4 is? Does that come out as an even, clean, whole number? It does. So -4 plus or minus I, the square root of 4 is 2. So you can write I2. Sometimes it looks a little better as 2I instead. But still all over -2. So now I challenge you, let's split this apart. Okay, let's bring this over here. I'm basically at my final answer. I will accept this, but once we get closer, like towards the test, I'm going to tell you, keep going with this, right? I want to see this as simplified as it can be. So if you left it like this, you might get a ½ point off or something. So I split this between my two separate fractions. So -4 over -2 plus or minus 2I over 2. -2, sorry. And the reason I'm doing this is because, did this end up positive? No, it didn't. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is so that I know I can simplify this down more. So -4 over -2 is +2. That's going to simplify down to be a +2. So then we're adding and subtracting to -2i over, or +2i over -2. These are going to cancel, and I'm left with -i up here. Okay, so basically this negative kind of goes away because a double negative makes a positive, and a positive and a negative makes it a negative. So my two different answers would be 2 plus I and 2 minus I. Okay, just as kind of easy and simple as that. So we are able to get our two different answers, two different solutions. Sometimes you're going to come up with those imaginary zeros. It will happen. That's why we learned how to deal with those negative square roots. Okay, that is all for this time. Bye.